So we've got all of this great research that's coming around the physical body and how it helps and how exercise and physical activity help people, um, specifically living with MS. We also have great information about how physical activity and exercise also influence the brain. So Dr. Wendy Suzuki is a professor of neuroscience and psychology. And if you're interested in her work, she's got a great TED Talk that you can kind of check out. But this quote is just simply moving your body has immediate, long lasting, and protective benefits for your brain. And that can last for the rest of your life. Her research really kind of looks at two specific areas in the brain that are influenced and benefit from physical activity. One is the prefrontal cortex, which is critical for decision making, focus, attention, and personality. And I like to think about, when we think about symptoms of MS, we think about like that cog fog or, that inability to focus. And so that prefrontal cortex with physical activity improves. The hippocampus also improves, which is critical for our ability to form and retain new long-term memories for facts and events. And I think about this with cognition, right? As MS is a degenerative disease, right? A neurodegenerative disease. And so cognition sometimes is problematic. And so by doing physical activity and by doing exercise, we know we're improving these two areas. There's also Dr. Model. In some recent research I was going through as I was getting ready for this webinar, I came across a paper that he published looking also at how exercise impacted the thalamus, which is a major relay area associated with cognition, and the basal ganglia, which is associated with movement and control of movement in a smooth and coordinated way. And his research really showed that as aerobic fitness gets higher, the volume and integrity of these structures in the brain get better. So there's a lot of great information about the brain and physical activity. And with physical activity, right, our brains can strengthen and they can find new neural pathways. Strong neural pathways equal stronger muscles and improved mobility. I love this next bullet point. I think we should just kind of highlight this. So neuroplasticity can happen for anyone with MS, regardless of the level of disability or the year of diagnosis. So if you're on this webinar today and you're thinking, but I have a lot of disabilities, so I don't know if this applies to me, it absolutely applies to you, right? Because neuroplasticity can happen for anyone with MS, regardless of level of disability or year of diagnosis. So hopefully if you take anything today, that's a really good one to kind of stick in your brain and walk away with. This next bullet point on there really gets to the idea of visualization. So give your brain a chance to find new neural pathways by repeating the exercise, even with no movement. So we know this with sports psychology, right? We work with athletes around kind of visualizing the next event, right? Visualizing their race or visualizing a game, because as they go over and over in their head and visualizing that, they are creating new neural pathways. And we too can do that without being an athlete, right? So let's say you have some weakness in one of your arms and you can only do a few bicep curls, right? And then it just, feels like, okay, I can't do any more than that. But you can work with visualization of actually visualizing that movement, because we know that creates new neural pathways and will enforce kind of getting stronger.